Gerardo, could you tell us about discrepancies of the Hispanic identity with regards to joining priesthood for young men?
I can start with giving a personal story. I remember when I was 5, I told my parents that I wanted to be a priest. But then, of course, no one takes you seriously when you're a 5-year-old. Being the youngest of 7, born in Tijuana, Mexico, we struggled financially. And so when we immigrated, we went to Fresno, where I grew up. And, we were close to the faith. In a sense, we were very active in the church. Daily Sunday Mass, parents were really active as well. I was an altar boy for like 8 years, so were my brothers. And so then eventually, this is the culture that I was raised in. But because what I asked my parents was never really taken seriously, I think with time I eventually just kind of like went away from it all because the surrounding environment wasn't really supportive. It was more of a routine of going to church on Sundays and whatnot and all the devotions, as opposed to having a true personal relationship with the person of Jesus Christ. And so I think eventually I had changed my mind. I wanted to be a heart surgeon because I wanted to help out my grandmother because she was feeling sick, and then realized I didn't like the sight of blood. And then I said, okay, fine, I'll be an astronaut. But people don't major in astronaut, they choose like engineering or something like that. So that's what I ended up doing. I studied aerospace engineering. 3 months before I graduated, thank God, I got a job with NASA Ames Research Center, with Lockheed Martin, working at NASA Ames Research Center. And it was the best, one of the best jobs I ever had, and a great opportunity. And it was very close to becoming an astronaut myself, because that's the path I was on. In fact, I helped train a few astronauts in some of our hardware. But with time, I think, as parents grew older, all my siblings got married and whatnot, I was so focused on my career and my academics, I really left God behind. Again, that sense of when I told my parents at 5 years old, that I wanted to be a priest, I completely left. And I focused a lot more on my own personal growth. And coming from a Hispanic family, because we grew up poor, for me, I was impelled to make a lot of money as soon as possible. And not really just for myself, but I wanted to give back to my own family. So helped out my parents financially. I even bought them a house. And then by the time I had a strong reversion to the faith, years later, after going to confession after a period of 10 years, seeing a spiritual director, going to daily mass, and then eventually, daily hours of adoration, my strong desire to be closer united with Christ just became so much more stronger. And so I felt like I was trapped, because I told my parents, I'd be supporting them financially, but then at the same time I felt I was being pulled in a different direction. And so how can I reconcile these things? And I can understand for anyone that's discerning the priesthood that is a Hispanic, that may be in a similar boat as I was. Let's say you are the breadwinner of your family, so you come from a small family, so that may be even worse. You're even less likely to leave what you're doing and enter the priesthood, and then have the rest of your family fend for themselves. But for me, given that I was the youngest of the 7, they were all happily married with all with kids. This is something that I felt that could be okay. I thought it would be fine. So my prayer to God then was, if I am called, then you have to take care of my parents. You have to be the one that takes care of them all. Can they support themselves eventually? What will they do if I stop giving them financial assistance? And then would my rest of my brothers and sisters help out? Who knows? And I think so. And what ended up happening, thank God, he did take care of them. I took the risk, left a job that I got paid quite well in. I'd worked for Lockheed Martin for over about 12 years.
Wow.
And by the time I was 28, I was making over $100,000, and I was moving up in the company very, very quickly. But I still decided to leave all that, because the call from God was just so profound. You can't you can't go away from that. It's so strong. And so eventually I told my parents, I told my family all about it, and half of them were shocked, and in a good way, and the other ones were shocked in a bad way, almost, it seems. But I think eventually they all came to realize, like, no, okay, we understand, we kind of saw this coming. And even though I was close to marriage, I even kind of broke that off as well too. So I literally left a lot behind, and it's not so much what he desires to give me per se, but it's more so like out of the love that I have for him, that it's just a natural movement of my being. So to all those Hispanics discerning the priesthood that might have gone through a similar experience as I have, or maybe struggling financially, maybe not have the best job either, you know, you have to learn how to trust in God that He will take care of you and take care of your family, that nothing is impossible through Him, that if you have a true vocation to the priesthood, it will happen, and God will support you in that.